babes. So, I know some people just like watching me do stuff. Love that. And so I'm going to talk about, now that the holidays have passed, how to keep this in mind for the next time you have family encounters. Because if you're like me, I've had too many family encounters where, by the way, I'm dyeing my hair. So my favorite brand is Unicorn Hair. May not be everybody else's favorite, but it's mine. And as you can see, I'm at my wit's end with this purple. So I'm mixing purple, blue. Well, this one's called Mochi or Mochi. I'm mixing squid. And then I'm mixing charcoal. So if that gives you a sense of my personality, there it is. But, anywho. So as I went through the holidays with my family, there was some things I had to keep in mind. And, just some hot takes on like how to deal with family and people when you don't get along with them. And mine's a very interesting dynamic because I grew up in a family home where they're very religious. I grew up Christian a good majority of my life into my adulthood, and I'd say around my early 20s, I think I was dating Anthony. It was like 2017. I was just like, this ain't it. This is not my thing. This is not my vibe. Whatever. And so I had always been invested and interested in spirituality. Ever since I was a child, there was just so many signs where I clearly was into something a lot more different than what my religion was teaching me. And I thought it was just, typical, it's the sinning tempting me into spirituality kind of stuff. And then clearly I didn't do my hair. And then once you start realizing that, oh, that feels so good. Once you start realizing that turns out it really wasn't any of that. It was just your soul really craving its calling. When you start following your calling and what your soul craves, and you don't follow a religion, you don't follow a standard, it's gonna ruffle some feathers, because I still believe in God. I just don't believe in God the way America believes in God. And that's how I like to put it. Because, like, there's a difference between, like, an authentic person following religion, and then there's a person who watches Fox News, And it's just one of those things where I grew up very conservative. I had a very conservative mindset going into the adult world. And once I experienced the adult world without my parents' help in any way, shape, or form, and when I say they've never helped me, they never have, so they will be happy to tell you that. If they think it's a bragging point, when really I was suffering for years, but because I didn't fit their narrative, I don't think they would have helped me unless I fit their narrative. So with that being said, I'm not here to talk about my personal family drama, but I do want to talk about things to keep in mind for next time you go into the holidays. And I'm sorry I didn't think about this video idea until afterwards. I wish I could have done it beforehand, but I was dealing with my own issues, my outside family, I hate saying that I'm an empath, but my outside family, they're suffering a really intense loss in their family, and I could feel it. I could feel their sorrow and their pain and their honest hurt and their questioning, and I was just focused on praying and just focused on hoping that my outside family would, find some kind of solace in what they've lost this year. So that was my focus. A lot of people think praying and stuff doesn't take meditation or anything, but if you really want people to find solace in their situation, in their lifetime, you're going to figure out that it takes a lot of dedication to prayer and to caring about your spirituality. And I think that's something people, even Christians, don't think about. Not all Christians think the same, but just the ones I've encountered in Texas, for instance. Anyhow, so going into the holidays, if you know your family's not the greatest and they don't like you, stop having the expectation they will like you. I I went in there with the expectation of like, they want me around, this is nice. And then as the conversations go on, people would say slight comments about my political views and stuff like that. And while they thought it was such a cute little dig, I'm sitting there processing it and I'm like, we're not even cool enough for you to be on joking terms. And you're that comfortable talking to me crazy like that. That's weird. Also considering that the person who does talk crazy to me most of the time and says out of pocket things, I think he's not comfortable with himself and who he is, and I don't think he ever will be. And I've learned to accept that about him. And this is not a bash thing, so if my family's watching this, take it to your Heavenly Father, not me. You don't have to claim me, and a lot of you don't, so I don't really care. But I do think it's interesting, if you ever want a truer sign if people like you or not, I see it in physical actions, gifts, all of it. And a lot of people are like, well, maybe you're just reading too intensely into it. Actually, no, I'm not. If you know someone's hurt you before, but the potential is still there. So, and I don't care how long it's been, it's still there. There's people I've hurt in the past where when I talk to them, like, I apologize to a guy this year for something I did when I was 14. Even that I could see could be a potential trigger for him. And so when I try to make, not peace, but when I apologize for the wrong actions I've done or the person that I was, I keep in mind that these people probably don't want to talk to me. And that is okay. That is absolutely their right. And that's a part of healing, is realizing the people you've hurt aren't going to see you as a good guy. And that's something you have to deal with. And so I think with my family, it was quite simple. I left religion and I decided I didn't want to take, my parents' crap. I realized that their love for me was conditional. I don't think it's unconditional. And so once you realize that those kind of toxic family dynamics are not healthy for you, it's okay to not be around it. So I made sure that both days, whether it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I worked in some way, shape, or form, because first of all, extra money and capitalism. Second, I'm not going to be entertaining no shenanigans. It's just not what I'm going to be doing. And I know some people are like, Alex, why are you dyeing your hair this way? It's really short. So I'm just being lazy about it, I guess. I could have been more detailed in how I did it, but I've been doing my hair for years. So no one's told me any different otherwise. But I went into with the preface that my family was going to not view me the same way. They weren't going to like me. And a lot of them showed that. And I'm really glad I was already prepared for that preface, because it made conversations easier. I didn't have to engage with people. I made sure I was there for only a short amount of time. And so before people were like, oh my gosh, Alex, how could you say this? La-di-da-di-da. If you think from my perspective and I were to sit people down, there's a reason why when I tell my friends I'm going to go see my family, they get angry every time. There's a reason why when I talk about my family, even my coworkers are like, for the love of God, don't freaking go over there. And I'm not saying these people are awful, but when people don't hold themselves accountable for actions they've done, and they think as time passes, time is an apology, time is not an apology. And even when they have their own version of like, well, I made up with them. I have the kind of family members, they don't ever physically say the words, I'm sorry. They think time heals. And they think because they've joined religion or they've chosen God, whatever floats their spiritual boat, means that I owe them the dignity and respect of forgiveness. And I don't actually. And I don't have to. There was never an apology. It was really just like, I got to get right with God. And I've always found it, I appreciate the sentiment of religion and what it does for people. But if it took a being you've never seen before, you've just been taught to believe growing up that it's real, to make you a better person and not watching your daughter be hurt or try and understand her hurt doesn't strike me as somebody who wants to change for the better. But again, my point of view is incredibly biased, and I don't know their full story. And I have to keep in mind too that, you know, we have to hold our parents to some kind of grace. And when I say grace, it's not that big, so don't think too deep when I say it. But they were children and people too. And it was one of those things that I had to come to terms with, that they went through things. They reacted the way they did because that's probably the only way they knew how to react. So, with that being said, and if y'all are me and you're lazy when you when you dye your eyebrows, this looks really weird, but I just put the mask over my eyebrows because I don't have any wrap or anything for that. It just needs some locked in moisture, and I draw my eyebrows half the time, so it really doesn't matter. But these holidays made me realize a lot of things, and part of them was that you may never have a family that truly actually identifies or likes you or accepts you for who you are. And that is where I think a lot of people don't talk about those things. Some people don't talk about, like, because I know some people will say, like, oh, well, if they're not close with their family, it's a red flag. It is a red flag. It's a red flag that I had to deal with that. It's a red flag that I was not a good person because of the things they specifically taught me. So it's one of those things where a lot of things could be considered red flags. But going into holidays or birthday celebrations or anything else, if you don't like them, don't engage in conversation. And that's just what I do. I don't plan my life around them. I never will. Something very significant would have to happen for me to plan my life around them. And that's not being mean. That's just me being a human being and reacting the way I should after a bad situation, repeated bad situations with my family. So keep in mind that if you're going to choose to be a peacemaker in some way, shape, or form at your family, don't make it long. Make your visit short and sweet and to the point, and then go on and get out of there, girl. Because you, like me and my best friends, we all hung out Christmas Day instead. I napped on their couch. We relaxed. It was beautiful. I much prefer the comfortable spaces for holidays, because that's what it's supposed to be about, is comfortability and feeling safe and enjoying each other's company for Christmas, not let's be awkward around our enemies and give each other gifts. So, with that being said, you have to remember that your beef with a specific family member does not have to deal with the other family members around them. Unless they're married, of course. Because then it's like, you know them way more than I do, and you think that behavior is okay, you're just as worse, actually. And that's how I feel on the matter. These are all just my personal feelings. I had to learn from a young age that my siblings were definitely treated differently than I was. And I remember asking my dad constantly why he would do it that way. And he would always make up an excuse for those kind of things and behaviors and stuff and how he went about things. And as I've gotten older and I've seen the dynamic between my siblings and my parents, I've realized I was never going to be on an agenda where they'd like me. When I was on the agenda where they liked me, I was not a person that I liked. I didn't enjoy who I was. I didn't enjoy the things I was supporting. I didn't enjoy the romantic partners they would suggest for me. I didn't enjoy men. I didn't enjoy any of that stuff. So when I chose to be who I was, mind you, being who I am does not harm anyone. I've not gone out of my way to hurt someone. I'm very outspoken about humanitarian rights, but I don't bash people's political beliefs. I might I might laugh at it, but you're never going to see me be like, you're stupid. No, I'm not. And so that's just who I am. I believe that if you are meant to have the same views as me, you will encounter it however you need to authentically. It's not my job to, unless the discussion is open and people are open to those interpretations, which most people in Texas are not, so I don't expect them to have that. But when you go into the holidays, remember that your siblings are not your enemy. Not once have I ever thought of them that way. None of them follow me on Instagram. They don't like me. I'm fine with it. I'm not bothered by it. I only talk about it because there's so many people going through my experience where you have family that genuinely doesn't like you and they show it. They think they don't, but they do. And you have to kind of sit there and be like, how do I take on this and learn from it? And what kind of dynamic do I create for myself now? What kind of healing space do I make for myself now that I know that my own blood doesn't really care about me? And so that was what the holidays really taught me this year, was that this was the first time I actually left a holiday for my parents where I wasn't hurt or torn. I was really like, that is exactly how I predicted y'all would be. I predicted I'm being silly. I predicted exactly how awkward y'all would treat me and uncomfortable you'd make me feel. But then they'll throw out too, like, oh my gosh, but you're this, you're that. Okay, cool. You still chose to go about things the way you do. I didn't even bring up politics, and people were throwing snide comments at me. And I was just like, we're literally here for the holidays. You're the main one giving speeches about let's not talk about politics, and yet you throw snide jokes out there. Like, who does that? And then for people being like, oh, well, why don't you talk to them about it? Like, when I do, the person doesn't even react. They've been the same toxic person my entire existence. They're never going to change. They never will. And I don't care that they're not going to change. You are not my problem. So I'm allowed to talk about it however the heck I want to. And however I decide to heal is also my right. Because while you're going through all this, TikTok, we're all talking about a lot of toxic family dynamics, toxic partners, toxic this, that, and the third. I promise you, as someone like myself who posts stuff like that a lot, they get offended. They really do. It gets under their skin. Instead of it getting under your skin, think about why someone that hurt feels the need to heal in public. Imagine the support system I probably don't have because of that. That's something you should think about. I can't believe you've never asked my perspective. So you don't get to be shocked by my perspective. You don't care about it. You just care that you're being exposed. I don't care. And I never will. So next time when people go into family dynamics, family occasions, family this, even funerals, you would think dead people would bring people closer. I learned this year dead people did not bring me any closer to my family. Literal death couldn't even bring us closer. So, sorry, I'm just laughing because I'm like, people are like, well, maybe this will, no. They can answer to their God or whatever about how they treated me in this lifetime. And I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to see if I'm in hell and they fall down and we catch each other like awkwardly, like, ooh, I thought you was in heaven, baby. What happened? You know, I'm gonna let God handle you just like you believe God should be the pinnacle of your life. I'm gonna let that same deity handle you. That's how I feel about that. But when you go into these family dynamics, for the love of God, stop having expectations that people that have hurt you are not going to hurt you again. They will. They will. You accepting their apology is for you, and accepting an apology is not for them to continue being the person that they are. They should not be sitting there comfortable and be like, they should forgive me. No, that means they did not change. When I've apologized for my actions, for things I did wrong, I'm totally expecting to be cussed out because I deserve it. And I think people have lack of awareness for what hurt really is. If you've hurt someone, why would you expect them to want to get along with you? Literally, from when I was a preteen to I'd probably say 20 years old, I was a menace to society. No wonder I didn't have friends. And lo and behold, I was going through my own things and I was reacting the way I thought I was supposed to, and I wasn't. And when I apologized for my actions, a lot of people were like dismissive, and as they should. I would not want to accept that apology either, no matter how heartfelt it was. But that's the point of an apology. It's truly from my heart to be sorry for my actions and that I've changed. I know that I've changed to show that, but that's not me to prove to them. They need to move on, and they deserve to move on, and that's what that apology is for. So they find some kind of solace, so that I am truly sorry for how I hurt them. Do people apologize to me that way? Absolutely not. Everyone's selfish with their apologies these days. And when you go into the holidays now, stop blaming your siblings or anybody else. Get to the root of the problem. Your parents favoring your siblings, not the issue. Your sibling favoring them while they've hurt you is an issue. But your siblings can't be angry with it. You know, you can't be angry with a dynamic that we all made okay, you know? So once I realized that my parents do not love me the same, and they never will, and their love is conditional, it's not unconditional, life's a lot smoother because I don't interact or have to talk to them. I really try not to. And even their attempts to, it's nah, if anything. Like one parent means well, I'll give you that. The other one doesn't even interact with me unless I interact with them. And we'll go years without talking. And they're comfortable with that. Well, I have best friends who can't even go a couple weeks without talking to me because they're like, girl, what's up? You're not talking to me. What it do, baby girl? Same with me. If I really love you, I'm going to be like, why aren't you talking to me? Thought we were in love. Thought we were best friends. I do not have that dynamic with my family, and I never will. And so I'm really glad these holidays happened because it took me a lot to realize that. And I just want you guys to all know you are not alone in this experience. It is a tough experience. It is an exhausting experience, but you can make the experience however you want it to be at this point. So instead of me being around awkward family members and having them say out-of-pocket comments towards me, I kept it short and sweet and ended up being a good Christmas Eve because I just simply ignored the snide comments from that family member. I ignored, you know, my parents openly liking their other children more than me. I ignored it all. It was really nice, honestly. It was nice to be on my phone, play a game, and now I had to go to work. I already had things to do, and that helps too. So this became more of a vent session rather than anything, but I want you to know to get to the root of your problems before family interactions. That way you do not have a high expectation of people who aren't going to heed those expectations. Remember that you are a gift to the world. You are a gift, and not every gift is something people seek immediately. People, you know, a lot of things are trends, but you're not a trend. You're an everlasting thing. You're an everlasting soul. So don't let people treat you like a trend. Okay? I love you.